Today I'm bringing you to a neighborhood in Medellin that's actually a famous spot due to the famous figure that is obviously one of the biggest characters in the city's history, which is Pablo Escobar. Welcome to Pablo Escobar neighborhood. Where they actually made him a statue. Let's go ahead and walk around and check out what they made for him in the paintings. So this is the neighborhood here, Pablo Escobar neighborhood. Let's take a walk around the neighborhood a little bit before we start. Alright guys, so for those of you that don't know the history too much about Medellin and Colombia, I think it's quite well known that Medellin has suffered some problems with drug trafficking, and it still is challenged by those types of things nowadays. However, in the past, the number one most famous and richest drug trafficker or drug pin, you could say, the most successful in this business was Pablo Escobar, who is, I believe, from Envigado. I'm not sure exactly where he's from in Medellin, but he actually set up his headquarters, I believe, in Envigado, which is the southern municipality here in the Medellin metro, which I don't recommend going to live there, as I've mentioned probably before. It is just rife of corruption and very unfriendly people that will probably mistreat you. So I suggest people avoid making the mistake I did. Don't spend too much time there. Anyways, this neighborhood was actually constructed by Pablo Escobar. He actually took a lot of the money that he made and he started investing it into the community, which is what you would hope that rich people would do in the areas where they're living. I mean, they're living in an area they probably, you would like to see that they have some sort of community, some feeling of being part of the society, the area they're living in. So anyways, this is what he did. He built, I have to check out the numbers here, but he built many houses in this neighborhood, and he gave them to the residents. This is a very poor neighborhood. I mean, it's still not very rich. It's not like the middle class or anything. This is probably still pretty lower estrato. In Spanish they say estrato, which means the income earners from 1 to 6, 1 being the lowest and 6 being the highest, and they pay different fees based upon those estratos. So let's go ahead and walk up into these stairs here a little bit, check it out, and then walk back to the statue, because so kind of reminds me a bit of when I spent time in Brazil. Brazil has these very steep, narrow stairs going up and down these neighborhoods. And this will be an example of probably one of the places that was donated by Pablo Escobar. So, guys, as you can tell, a neighborhood that was given to people that were very unfortunate, the less fortunate, and they finally had something for themselves. Now, clearly, Pablo had a very twisted past, and he's a very controversial character. And that's what you're going to see a lot. If you come to Medellin and spend a lot of time here, you're going to see a lot of people that say, oh, wow, Pablo, he was this great guy and he did all these things. And there was a lot of positive things happening due to his reinvestment in the society, into the culture, into the city where he set up his headquarters. He gained people's trust. He gained their love by using this profit from selling specifically cocaine over to the US, sending it in small planes, sending it in whatever possible way he could find. That is how he made his millions, his fortunes. I mean, I think it was billions. In the end, became one of the richest people in the world, I believe. Just like the other most famous drug trafficker, Chapo, I believe, Pablo as well, became one of the richest people in the world at some point. He was burying his money in the ground, just didn't have any place to put it. Anyway, so this neighborhood was constructed basically to win the hearts of the people that live here, and to give, the less fortunate something to call their own. Look at this right here. You can see right here, this has a cool painted stairwell. Right here. I like this. Another example of some steep stairs going up into this residential neighborhood. Jorge Lara, Juan Pablo Escobar. Juan Pablo. So you can see the love that people had for him on this wall. Jorge Lara and Juan Pablo Escobar. They are clearly a very cherished type of people, very cherished person here for what they did, what they gave back to the community and contributed. All these people that didn't have anything, they were gifted these houses, and he built thousands of houses in this community. That's why the neighborhood is called Pablo Escobar neighborhood. I mean, you'd have to see, it's a very densely populated residential neighborhood. Now let's get back to what is the painting here in the statue. Here we see Barrio, Pablo Escobar. My guess is it's probably this wall going backwards. Here he is transporting a washing machine. So something curious about Colombian culture is they rent washing machines per hour and per day. If you don't have the money for that, you can just rent it. And it's actually surprisingly expensive. I've looked at the prices and they're like, okay, like $20 for a day. I mean, if you have a lot to wash, I guess it makes sense. But if it's just a couple things, it doesn't make sense. So here's the painting of the Pablo Escobar neighborhood. Here we have the printed, Aquí se respira paz. Here, peace is, you can breathe peace, basically. And here we have another painting, mural. Más allá de la leyenda que hoy simbolizas, pocos conocen la verdadera esencia de tu vida. Gracias por brindarnos una vida digna. Beyond the legend that you are symbolized by, very few understand the true essence that was your life. Thank you for giving us a dignified life. So that's the population writing to him about that. Looks like, is it closed? Oh my God. I guess it's closed. Aquí se cuenta la historia. I think I'm gonna have to ask if it's closed or if it opens at what time. I didn't realize that was a thing. Buen día, señorita. ¿Está cerrado aquí para entrar y ver la estatua?
No debería porque no tiene llave. Si quieres. Ah, tiene el candado, sí, está cerrado.
¿Por qué lo cierran?
Ah, porque tiene que como
¿Protegerlo o qué?
esperar un ratico a ver si que
¿Sabes a qué horas abre?
más o menos, pues, póngale como a las 10.
Más o menos ahora.
Se abre ahorita.
Va.
Tiene mucha gente.
Ah, okay, gracias. Well, again, these are the things that happen, right? It's supposed to be opening at 10, and you can see the statue that they built. I guess it's probably for tourism, for people to come during certain times. So here is the Pablo Escobar neighborhood. Again, let's go ahead and just walk up and down. What do we got here? Esco Bart. Bart Simpson. Welcome. So, here we are in Barrio Pablo Escobar. I guess this is right before the tourists come because that area is closed. They must come right after it's open. All right, well, here's an example of some of the houses that were built here in the Pablo Escobar neighborhood. Disculpen, ¿sabe a qué horas abren para ver la estatua?
En esto aparece el pelado que habría ahí.
Sí, ya enseguida.
Ya enseguida, ya listo aparece, son las 9:30.
A las 9:30.
Sí, ya listo. Arriba hay otro mural si quiere.
Sí, hay uno más encima.
Sí, arriba.
Ah, ok.
Esto es parte del barrio, todo acá abajo y arriba.
Ah, listo, gracias. Ok, gracias. Okay, so chatting with the local here, he mentioned there's another statue or mural at the top of this neighborhood, and that the statue area is going to be opening soon. But since I want to make it there to a place right now, we're going to the top here. And I'm going to be sweating buckets. And yeah. So the guy said, hey, don't worry, you can go up to the top. This is the entire Pablo Escobar neighborhood. Nothing's going to happen. It's safe here. I believe it. When you have a thriving tourism sector, a lot of times the people try to not do any harm to the foreigners. Here we are, going up and up and up. I wonder where this mural is. Well, got another painting here. Pablo. It's a soccer ball. It's the national team. And I think it's called, I can't remember what that one's called, but there's two main teams here in Medellin. Well, I don't see another statue, but that was a nice little painting there. As is standard here in Latin America, we have a little mini statue of, looks like the Virgin Mary and Jesus. I don't see any more statues of Pablo, but that's okay. It's like, we'll see if we can find it at the end of this little walking tour of Pablo Escobar commune or neighborhood. I believe this is a painting of Pablo's mother right here. Yeah, looks like it. Just keeps on stretching up and up and up, up there too, though. Not sure how many more statues we're gonna find. If there are any more, or just lots of painting. I believe it's just paintings. Here we go. Here's another one. Here is the famous plane. I think he did his first trip transporting cocaine. And I believe this actually crashed Nápoles. So yeah, Hacienda Nápoles. Pasa, pasa. Here he has this gate right here. And this is actually an area, I think, at the eastern edge of Antioquia. Now, when I was driving over from Bogota, I actually drove right past where the hacienda, or the farm, whatever you want to call it, Nápoles, the Napoli farm, where he basically had some of his headquarters was there. He also had exotic animals, such as a hippopotamus, ostrich, as you can see here. And he's quite the character. I mean, he has a very interesting story. Like I said, very, very controversial individual, loved and hated by many. Okay, well, I'm not seeing too many down there, so I'm going to keep going. Buen día. ¿Bien o qué? Estoy paseando. So, Trans Catalunya. So from what I gathered, living in Medellin for over a year, maybe a year and a half, is that in general, the wealthier you are, the better off you are, the more you kind of dislike Pablo, because there is basically no benefit for that group of individuals that already had money. It was more for the poor that benefited the most. With he would hire them to do all sorts of controversial things and pretty terrible things, and that helped him, build and grow his empire. And let's go down this place right here. Yeah. Let's keep walking down. And in that respect, he gave a lot back to certain groups, and to others, not as much. Buen día. Now people have a very strong opinion about it. So it's kind of a difficult topic to bring up in certain areas. For example, I think here is obviously going to be positive. Everyone loves him and still do probably, because of what he contributed. But in other parts of the neighborhoods, and other parts of the city, it's not the same thing. So here we have an águila, empty bear, and a dog. Looks pretty scared. Buen día, mijo. ¿Bien o qué? Very shy kid. Mommy. All right, well, this is my fingers crossed for having the statue area opened up for viewing now. Obviously we can see it from the motorcycle, but not very well. the statue and the close-up mural there. I'm not sure exactly why it's closed off, I guess, but maybe to protect it during night and morning hours. Supposedly it's supposed to be opening at 9:30 or 10, and it's around that time now, I believe. So, what I like to do when I do my generic expats project like this is when I'm going around to new places, especially, I mean, this is a neighborhood I've never went to before. I didn't even realize it existed, to be honest, until I was doing sub maintenance on my motorcycle right around the area, actually, at La Milagrosa, or the Wonder Park. And yeah, it's like maybe 5-minute drive from that park. And I had my bike worked on there to really improve its status. It's been beaten up real heavy. Princess has really been mistreated by me from Minnesota down for the past 2 years. And actually, this is a very exciting moment for me, because in less than 3 weeks, I am now officially celebrating 2 full years on La Princesa, going around and doing the work for my project and taking you to places that could be your next destination as an expat. We have a cool picture here of Pablo and my princesa. I knocked on the door right here. The guy came in and let me in. So we're going to be doing a quick tour right here, quickly, and showing you the main attraction in this spot. And we have Medellin plata o plomo, the famous expression, which means, let me give you money or I will give you a bullet. There you can see the mobsters. It's like Al Capone. Here we have the paintings of the most famous members of this group. I can't really read that. Prefiero una tumba en Colombia que una cárcel in the United States. So this is another very interesting or sentence or phrase that he was said. I'd prefer having a grave in Colombia than a cage or a prison cell in America, basically because he was being sought after by the United States military. He wanted to stay here. He wanted to continue operating his narco operation, and because of that and his love for Colombia, and obviously he didn't want to be captured, so he said, I would prefer being killed and buried in Colombia than going to jail in America. So that's the expression we have right here. If you watch the series, like the Narco series, or if you watch, actually I would suggest watching El Patrón del Mal, which is the original series made here in Colombia, and then the Narco series made for Netflix. That one is actually a lot more Americanized, a bit more commercial, and it's also kind of going to have a bit more of a dramatic sense to it. I don't think they have very, very good representations of the story, but I don't know which one is better, to be honest. I liked El Patrón del Mal more. Here we have a it's a water fountain that they might not have turned on, and this is Pablo as Robin Hood. One important thing to know about the perception of Pablo here in Medellin is he was viewed as the Robin Hood because he was basically, from the US. Many people are very, very rich, and especially compared to the Colombian population, they're considered to be super rich. And of course, Robin Hood is take from the rich, give to the poor. Colombia was in the past very, very poor, still a very poor country, but he did what they considered to be the Robin Hood act, right? He was getting money from them by sending over what they were producing, the cocaine, and bringing the money back, and then he invested it in the community. And that's pretty much the definition of Robin Hood. So in that essence, it's actually completely true. And it's obviously a very controversial idea. It's a very controversial thing to talk about, or if you talk to one person, they'll think one thing, and you talk to another, they'll think another. But that's just how the situation is. There you have some, it's like merchandise for the tourists that come. I don't know if it's for sale, must be. And here we have, it looks like little baby Jesus, very white, long-haired baby Jesus, or someone else, I don't know. Here we have a picture of Pablo. Oración del milagrosísimo niño de Atocha. Okay, so this is a type of sacred child, I guess that's a saint. De la familia Novor, Jaime y Patricia. PJ Plumbing Incorporated. What is that? And here's another painting of the farm Nápoles Hacienda. Another gangster style painting and mural, and of course the famous picture of him in prison with his prison numbers before. So these guys are in the middle of a meeting. I don't want to bother them anymore. But we were able to check out what is the shrine and mural to Pablo Escobar here in Pablo Escobar neighborhood. So here's one last thing I wanted to mention as we're leaving the Pablo Escobar neighborhood and monument, is that Latin America is kind of a do first and ask for forgiveness later type of society and culture. And if you don't ever try to go somewhere when it's locked or closed or whatever, you're never going to find that out really, unless you start being adventurous. And that was what just happened to me here. Actually, it was locked to the public. The monument, the pictures, the painting, the statue, all of these things were actually locked up, and they were in the middle of a meeting. And I asked him why it was locked up. He didn't really have a concrete answer for me, but one of the things you learn when you live in Latin America is that it's kind of better to just try to get something done. Try. If it's closed, try knocking, try yelling. That's exactly what I did. And I made it up to show you guys this awesome spot. This is just a little tip and trick. That concludes our tour of Barrio Pablo Escobar, or Pablo Escobar's neighborhood, the one that he constructed here in Medellin near Buenos Aires, eastern edge of the Medellin metro, guys. If you're enjoying all the content I'm bringing you to interesting new places, sharing tips about moving abroad and showing you where you could possibly relocate to, hit that like, subscribe, notification bell. If you want to support the channel, you can buy me a coffee, give me a bit more energy to keep on doing this channel throughout South America, as I'm just about to be going to my second country in this continent. So, guys, as always, hasta la próxima.